The Firewatcher. They say every college kid has that one summer job they'll never forget. For James, it wasn't flipping burgers at the diner or lifeguarding at the town pool or pushing carts in the supermarket lot. No, James signed up for silence. A firewatcher's post, 30 miles out in the national forest, where the road turns to gravel and the gravel eventually just stops. The tower itself was little more than a box on stilts, wooden stairs that creaked like old bones, a glass cabin perched at the top, and a view that stretched into forever. Trees rolling in green waves, a lake glinting like polished steel, ridges sharp against the sky. From up there, James felt like he was sitting on God's shoulder, and he loved it. He loved the crackle of the radio, the hiss of his own coffee on the propane stove, the absolute stillness that came after sundown. Sometimes he'd swear he could hear the forest breathing, the whole place alive under him, whispering to itself. But here's the thing about silence. It makes you notice. Every little thing. The shift of shadows, the odd bend in a tree branch, the way the light changes. On his third night, just as the horizon bled red and the ridges turned black, he noticed it. A thin, dark thread of smoke rising from the same patch of trees. Straight, steady, undeniable. His heart kicked up, because that's the job. Spot it, report it, stop the whole forest from burning down. But before he could even reach for the radio, the smoke vanished. Not dispersed, vanished. Like someone had pinched it out with their fingers. James stared, waiting for it to return. It didn't. The sky darkened, the stars came alive, and the forest below sank into blackness. That night he lay awake in the narrow bunk, staring at the ceiling, wondering if his eyes had lied to him. But when dawn came and the sun rose over the ridges, James knew one thing for certain. Smoke doesn't just vanish, not like that. And if it did, something else was down there, watching. James started marking the time in his logbook. 8:47 p.m., smoke. 8:48 p.m., gone. The consistency unnerved him. Fires don't play by clocks. He tried convincing himself it was heat haze, some quirk of temperature and light. But the smell lingered, acrid and real, the kind of smoke that bites the back of your throat. The radio offered no comfort. Relax, the ranger's voice said, lazy and distant. Long shifts make men see ghosts. James laughed along, but his hand shook as he set the receiver back down. By the sixth night, the smoke didn't just rise, it writhed, like it was alive, twisting shapes into the air. Faces, almost, sharp jaws, hollow eyes. He blinked, and they dissolved. But the image burned in his mind long after the smoke was gone. Sleep became impossible. Every creak of the tower set him upright. Every rustle in the underbrush made him grip the axe he kept by his bunk. He started talking to himself, whispering questions into the dark. Who's down there? What do you want? On the 10th night, James hiked down again. This time he swore he saw movement, someone slipping between the trees just beyond the beam of his flashlight. A figure, tall and slow, carrying something heavy. His pulse slammed. He shouted, his voice cracking against the silence. No answer. He ran toward where he thought the figure had gone, but the forest swallowed him whole. Branches clawed at his arms, roots tangled his boots, and just when he thought he had them cornered, the smell vanished. The clearing was bare, but not empty. At his feet lay footprints, dozens of them pressed deep into the dirt, circling the clearing, burned into the ground as if made by boots of coal. The air shimmered with leftover heat. James backed away, trembling, clutching his axe until his knuckles blanched. He returned to the tower, but the forest no longer felt like trees and shadows. It felt like something alive, something waiting. And for the first time since he'd climbed those stairs, James realized he wasn't watching the forest anymore. The forest was watching him. The crash was deafening. Wood splintered, iron bolts screamed, glass shattered into a rain of glittering shards. The Firewatch tower, his sanctuary, his one escape, folded in on itself like paper and disappeared into the inferno. James stumbled backward, coughing hard as smoke clawed its way into his lungs. His eyes watered, blurring the figures closing in around him. They weren't moving like men. They swayed, staggered, limbs hanging wrong. Burnt husks, their skin cracked and glowing faint red as if embers still lived beneath. They circled him, slowly, patiently. Their silence was worse than any scream. "Stay back!" James roared, swinging the axe wildly. The blade passed straight through one, scattering sparks that fizzled before hitting the ground. He stumbled again, nearly dropping it. That's when he saw the figure in the clearing, the same burning man he glimpsed inside the smoke. But now up close, it wasn't just a shape. It had a face, or the echo of one. Charred lips twisted into something like a grin. Its eyes glowed white hot, furnace bright. James froze, heat rolling off the thing like waves. It raised one hand, palm open, and all at once the other figure stopped moving. The forest went still, silent, waiting. And then he heard it, not with his ears, but inside his head. A voice like fire cracking wood. You watched, now burn. The ground split beneath him, like flames tearing through the roots like veins. Heat blistered his skin, his lungs screaming for air. He ran, stumbling between the husks, dodging their outstretched arms. His shirt caught fire, flames licking his back as he swung the axe in blind terror. But every direction led him back to the same clearing. The burning man stood unmoving, waiting for him. James fell to his knees, gasping, face streaked with ash and sweat. The axe slipped from his hands, and the circle closed. The charred figures leaned in, their cracked jaws opening at once. From every mouth a single sound poured out, low, endless, like the hiss of a fire that would never die. The world went white, and James screamed with it. James froze, chest heaving, the radio pressed against his hip like a living thing. The voice slithered through the static, low, amused, like it already knew his answer. He yanked it free, thumb trembling on the button. Help me. The forest, it's burning. There are people. There. The voice cut him off, crisp as a match strike. Not people. Never were. Static swallowed the rest. Panic drove him forward. His boots hammered the soil, lungs raw with smoke. He pushed past tree after tree, but the forest betrayed him. Every path twisted back on itself. Every clearing looked the same. The fire wasn't spreading. It was waiting, guiding him, hurting him. James stumbled into another clearing, ash swirling like snow. In the dirt he saw them again, footprints. Dozens, hundreds, each one seared black into the ground. They formed circles, spirals, pathways that led nowhere. His stomach knotted. These weren't tracks of wanderers. They were marks of ritual. From the trees, the charred figures stepped forward. Not rushing, not lunging, just walking with terrible patience, their hollow eyes reflecting the flames. James staggered back, nearly tripping over his own axe. His hand found the handle, but his grip was weak, his arms shaking. What good was steel against something that wasn't flesh? He tried to remember the tower, the safety, the radio calls, the endless green stretching below him. But the image was gone, swallowed in fire. All that remained was the sound. The endless crackle, the hiss of embers devouring air. The radio hissed again. Only this time, dozens of voices spoke at once. Male, female, young, old, layered over each other like a chorus. Seen the smoke yet? The words pulsed through his head in rhythm with the pounding of his heart. James clapped his hands over his ears, but the voices burrowed deeper, pressing against his skull. He staggered, dropped to his knees, dirt smearing his face as he gasped. The circle of figures closed tighter. Their mouths opened again, spilling not fire, not screams, but silence. A silence so heavy it crushed the air around him. And James realized in that terrible quiet that the forest didn't want him dead. It wanted him here. The Rangers chalked it up to a freak lightning strike. Tower must have gone up like tinder, they said, though the skies had been clear for weeks. The report was thin, clinical. No mention of voices, no mention of footprints scorched into the earth. No mention of James at all, except for the word missing. But in town, whispers spread. Folks at the diner claimed they saw strange light in the forest that week, orange and furious, but gone by morning. A hunter swore the trees smelled of smoke, even though no fires were recorded. And one of the rangers, off the record, muttered that he heard James's voice crackling faintly through the radio long after the tower was ash. By the time a new recruit climbed the rebuilt tower, the legend had already grown teeth. He laughed off the warnings, set down his pack, and looked out over the endless green. That night, just before 9, he spotted it. A column of smoke rising steady in the distance, black against the red sunset. He leaned forward, binoculars trembling in his hands, and there it was, clear as day. A man burning silently, arms outstretched as if waiting for him. The smoke vanished before he could blink. Now tell me, if you ever find yourself up in a tower like that, with nothing but trees below and silence all around, and you see smoke curling up where there shouldn't be any, do you climb down to investigate? Or do you sit still, clutch the radio, and pray the forest doesn't notice you watching? because James did, and the forest never forgot. Thank you for listening to this story. If it sent a chill down your spine, do me a favor, like this video to help it spread, and subscribe so you never miss the next tale waiting in the dark. Share it with a friend who thinks they're brave enough to handle it. There's another story on your screen right now, one that might just keep you up tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow, if you dare.